we talk about Florida's NIL issues?
Sure.
Because it is fascinating.
It
is fascinating what is happening down there right now. So for those who haven't been following it, Florida released Jaden Rashada from his national letter of intent because essentially there was no money in their NIL collective. And they promised him $13 million and they can't pay. So here's where that gets fascinating. They are claiming that he signed a contract. If he decides to sue the University of Florida, they have to do one of two things. They either have to admit that there was a contract in place, in which case they will have to pay him $13 million, or
to not be a student there.
Right, to go somewhere else. Or if they go a different direction with it and claim that there wasn't a contract, and if he can prove that there was and it was based on enrollment, that is an NCAA level 1 violation. So Florida is literally in a massive lose-lose situation right now where they're just hoping Jaden Rashada just goes away and doesn't say another word. It is fascinating.
Yeah. The only way out for them, and the only time we'll tell this, but the only way out for them right now is if in that contract there were specific like events that he was supposed to appear at as a Florida student athlete. Because you'll notice that's what Tennessee has done with the Vol Club and Spyre Sports. It's not just, hey, you come play here and we give you this money. That's not it. It is all based on appearances at specific events. That's why if you join the Vol Club, it'll say like, you get access to, events with players and stuff like, well, that's this kind of thing. It also includes on VolQuest, they have the Vol Club Confidential podcast. It includes appearances on that podcast. And so if the way the contracts have been arranged with Tennessee's players, it's based off of appearing on these events that they have agreed to.
It can't say anything about performance, and it can't say anything about enrollment.
Right. And so that's why it's based on appearances. And so that's their end of the contract. That's Tennessee's, collateral, I guess you could say, or cover your tail move. That's how they do that. And so it's a win-win. Fans get to win from it because they get to interact with the players at these events. Players win from it because they're getting this money to play and appear at these events. And so it's a win-win. So unless Florida has in their contracts specific events and things like that Rashada was supposed to appear at as a University of Florida athlete, because he could even make the case now if he appears, well, I was there,
right.
And so it has to say in that contract, you have to appear at these events as a University of Florida student athlete. That's their only hope right now. And for their sake, well, yeah,
I'm not even sure it can say as a Florida student athlete, because that would be contingent on enrollment. It's incredibly fascinating because if people will remember, Florida was the first state to buck the NCAA and make NIL legal. So Florida has had more time to work on this than literally anyone else in the country, which speaks even higher to Danny White and Spyre Sports. The fact that Tennessee is the model for how to do NIL for literally the whole country. Everybody's watching what Spyre and UT are doing and trying to copy it. Is just it's an enormous deal that Danny White does not get enough credit about.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'll tell you, maybe the most important thing that'll come out of this Rashada case is it's going to set legal precedent. That is by far the most important thing, because that precedent that's set in this case is going to impact literally the entire country and the rest of collegiate athletics all across the country and how NIL deals go down. So that is easily the most important element of this, and why. And that's why, even as Vol fans, or as, if Georgia fans are watching this, because hey, we love our Georgia fans who comment on our videos. Thank you for watching and commenting. I know you don't always agree with us, and that's great. That's fine, but you're helping our channel because it's getting watch time. So we appreciate that. We love you
Sometimes
guys.
you don't agree with us. Sometimes you don't agree with us, even when we agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. And so we appreciate that, because when you comment like you do, that's great too, because it interacts with our videos, and the YouTube algorithm likes that. So we appreciate you guys. But that's, whether you're a Georgia fan, whether you're a USC fan on the West Coast, or an Oregon State fan, what happens at the end of this deal with Florida is going to impact everybody. And so that's why it's important, or it could be important even for us as Vol fans, to keep an eye on this, to see what happens, because I guarantee you Spyre Sports is keeping an eye on it, because this directly impacts their wording and their legal documentation that they give to players from here on out. Like right now, everybody's just trying to have enough foresight to build clauses in and that kind of stuff. Well, this is going to let everybody know exactly what has to happen in every situation. So it's a big deal.
Here's the other thing that's fascinating about it. If Rashada ends up suing and the lawsuit takes action, every communication from the University of Florida to Jaden Rashada will have to be released in discovery.
Now that would be funny.
You want to talk about some NCAA violations getting out there? I guarantee you there will be a couple.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's fascinating, and darn, I hate it for Florida. Goodness. Oh man, I so hope they just don't lose all their games now. And
I'm sure there's no correlation at all between that and the fact that Florida hasn't announced any commitment in weeks.
Yeah, definitely no correlation whatsoever there. Everything's fine. It's like that meme with the dog and the fire. Like it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is fine.
Yep.
Well, go Gators.